What's up, family? What's up? Man, I know that this is a surprise. I wasn't planning on going live, but man, I just want to jump on and talk to you guys real quick. Take a couple minutes to get done working on it. 4 hours. You know what I mean? Good average job. And just man, but feel about the title, man, feel about the it won't be good though, you know. Man, years ago, when we started, years ago, Ivan, what's up? We're just gonna go with it this way. Is this better? Is this? Hopefully, this is better. What's up? What's up? What's up, Miss Rocky? Thank you, Natalie. Hey, so my bad. I don't think I have my headphones all the way in. What's up, Miss Rocky? Hey, so about to go in. Years ago, back in '93, I was in the Air Force, and I went to Guam. But prior to me to going to the Air Force, thank you, Ivan. What's up, Goober? I was stationed in Montana, and there was this bigwig who was a Mason. He came down. He was like the head of the Washington jurisdiction, which is like a big area, right? And so he came down to Montana, and they had a black and white Mason ball. What's up, Cammy? And I wasn't a Mason at the time. And stay with me. This is not about the Masonic order or anything. I'm just giving you guys the background, all right? Stay with me. And so what's up, Michelle? And so this guy came in, and he was talking to me, and he was like, man, he asked me if I was a brother, a Mason and stuff. And I was like, nah, and he got, what's up, Mizzero? Hey, I'm not gonna call all you guys names, all right? Because there's like way too many people, and I get distracted real easy, because I like talking, I like chopping it up with you guys. And so anyways, he was asking one of the brothers there, hey, get this guy application. How come this guy's not a Mason yet, right? And so the guy that he told that to, man, he worked in a hospital with me, older guy, man, he didn't like me. You know what I mean? For whatever reason. And I was a knucklehead. You know what I mean? I was a knucklehead, but he wasn't feeling me, And so he never got me an application. And he told me right off the bat, man, you're not coming through. You're not going to be a Mason. And so I'm like, I don't care. You know what I mean? And so I left, and I went to Anderson Air Force Base in Guam. While I was there, a couple of the other guys there that was Masons came to me and asked me, hey, are you a Mason? I was like, nah. And it's like, man, you need to be a Mason. Man, you have what we're looking for, and they're chopping it up with me. And so I had to go see this guy, Mr. Jordan, who was a retired Marine. And so I walk into his office, and I'm getting ready to sit down. And he's like, stand up. And so I'm like, oh, my bad, And so he's asking me a bunch of questions and stuff. And he asked me, what kind of books do I read? And man, in 93, I was 23 years old. And I told him, I said, man, I don't really read too many books, And he was like, why not? I said, I really don't have time. And I'm just making up all these excuses. Like, man, And I thought I was intelligent, right? I just didn't read books. This older guy went off. He cussed me out, just went off on me. And I'm like pissed, right? But I'm trying to hold back because I know that I can't say anything to him, because then he's gonna blackball me. He's gonna stop me from becoming a Mason, right? And so I'm sitting there listening to him, and he's just going off on me. And then it hit me. I was mad at him for cussing me out and going off on me. He's sitting there talking about, man, you young black whoop-de-whoop, man, y'all don't know shit. Y'all motherfuckers think y'all know every goddamn thing, and you young bastards don't know your ass from your elbows. And he just going in on me, right? And I'm offended and I'm triggered by what he's talking about. And I didn't understand it at the time. And as I was sitting there just listening to him talk, it occurred to me that I was offended. Somebody don't want me to make all this stupid noise behind me all of a sudden, And so it occurred to me, man, I was triggered. I was offended because what he was saying was true. Stay with me, I'm going somewhere. And so he gave me a book to read. Black Boy, you know. And then I read that book, gave it back to him. He gave me another book to read, Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. I think Nathan Wright wrote Black Boy. And so gave those books back to him. We chopped it up and have built a great relationship, right? And so, long story short, I started reading books, okay? It was talking to this guy who took me up under his wings and started me reading different books, okay? It was this guy who put me on a path that I'm on now. It was this guy who cussed me out and went left on me, who started me on my journey that I'm on right now. And so, 99, I read this book. This book came out in 99, and it completely shook me. It completely shook me. And if you guys haven't heard this book, man, you got to go get this book. It's called The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America. I'm going to say it again. The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America by this lady named Charlotte Thompson Esherbert. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if you can see. That's what the book looked like. All right, hey, so you could get this on a PDF. Just get on Google, whatever, and you could just download the PDF file. You know what I mean? This book is 700 something pages. 700 something pages. And again, the title is The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America. And that's what we're going to talk about today. All right? And so you guys got to understand, man, there's agendas going on out there. You know what I mean? Everybody swear they woke. Everybody swear they woke. And understand, man, there's certain entities out there that don't want you to be woke. There's certain entities out there that want you to think that you woke when in reality, you still sleep. There's certain entities out there that want you dumbed down so they could tell you anything and you'll believe it. So they could send you down this rabbit hole and you go chasing this stupid information. They'll send you down over here and you go chasing this stupid stuff. There's certain entities that don't want you to know any better. And so just fast forward some. With technology, man, social media, man, there's certain things out there that, man, they'll just put on social media. They'll put on the news and they'll put in the music industry and we'll swallow that shit. And we'll eat it. Never doing our own due diligence, never doing our own research. But we will accept this crap and run with it, thinking we woke, thinking that our eyes have been opened up, not even understanding that they're deliberately dumbing you down, not even understanding that they're playing a mind game on you. And see, because our ego is so tricky, because our ego is so wicked, because our ego is so corrupt, our ego will have us convinced that we woke. Our ego will have us convinced that we are aware and we're enlightened, when in reality, we've been dumbed down. When in reality, we don't have a fucking clue what's going on. We think we know. Because our ego has us convinced that we know. We think we've been enlightened. We think that our chakras are aligned. We think that our third eye is open. That's all ego trip. Are you really woke? Are you really woke? See, as long as you playing the stupid game of, man, Masons ain't this, and the Illuminati this, and the hip-hop industry is this, and what they do, man, it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. It's a battle for your mind. It's a battle for your mind. Man, and so what we got to understand is, man, the agenda starts early. Starts early. What do I mean? Back in the 80s. In the 80s, they came out with shows, and these shows seemed cool. These shows seemed no big deal. You know what I mean? It's just TV. It's just cartoons. It's just entertainment. And so what they was doing, when you look at Bart Simpson, man, there was an attack on men. Stay with me. There was an attack on masculine man. There was an attack, what's up, Ingrid? There was an attack on men, strong men. And so the attack was to emasculate manhood. Stay with me. Man, and the Bible talks about the Jezebel spirit. And the Jezebel spirit has been rampant in America. The Jezebel spirit has been rampant in the world. And what the Jezebel spirit is, it's the spirit to emasculate the strong men, to feminize the strong men, to weaken the strong men. I don't care whether you want to believe this or not. It's a spiritual thing. And so, because we're not aware of what's going on, because we're so captivated by these stars and all this other stupid stuff, and because we're so convinced that we woke, we don't even see the game. We don't even see the agenda. And so, and I agree, I understand that men have done great damage to our society. Men in power have done damage to our women. Men in our society have fucked up the system. I understand that. But the pendulum has swung so far fucking left that there really aren't too many strong men left. They emasculate them. They sit them down and shut them up. They become part of the system where you can't say this. If you say this, you're going to lose your contract. If you say this, you're going to lose this. If you say this, man, we're going to boycott you. And so again, understand that there was an attack on mankind. There was an attack on the men, on the strong men, the protectors of women, the protectors of our kids. Because if we can attack the men, we got the women. If we can attack the men, we got the kids. And if we get the men out the way, and if we imprison the men, if we put the strong men in the penitentiary, if we put the strong men on dope and get them lost and get them distracted, man, we got the families. If we could take the men out the game, there's nothing stopping us from taking the families. And so, let's send drugs into the communities. Let's get the men fighting and killing each other. Let's get the gangs going. Let's push the dope into these communities. Let's bring guns into these communities. Let's destroy the men. Think about this for a second. In the 60s, man, black people were so united. And again, there's always a division. There's always a divide and conquer. You got that, Kimmy? There's always a divide and conquer. Always. Why? Because when the men and the people are together, when they're united, they're powerful. They're unstoppable. Think about this for a second. The Tower of Babel, in the Bible times frame, these people came together and they wanted to build this building that went all the way up into the heavens. They were all on one accord. God was like, oh, hell no. You know what I mean? These people tripping. I got to cause something to happen to divide the people. Because if we don't divide the people, man, they're going to build this tower all the way into heaven. And so at that time, according to the Bible, that's when God struck the people and they started speaking different languages. And there was confusion. And so there was division. And the people left and they stopped working on building the tower because they couldn't communicate with each other. And so everybody went onto their own. Fast forward, in the 60s, you had all these black movements. The Black Panther Party. You had all these movements of trying to educate the people. The Black Panther Party, labeled by the society, by the government, by the FBI as a dangerous movement. The Black Panther Party, labeled by the government, man, the number one enemy in America. Why? What was the Black Panther Party about? Man, the Black Panther Party was about feeding the hungry. The Black Panther Party was about teaching the kids how to read. The Black Panther Party was about teaching the people unity and bringing them together and giving them health care and all these other things. They weren't about going to the government. They weren't about being dependent on the government. They weren't about being on welfare. Because their mentality was, man, we take care of our own. We don't need the government to do anything for us. Matter of fact, we don't want the government in our communities. It's our job as men to protect our communities. It's our job as men to provide for our communities. It's our job as men to educate the young. That's what the Black Panther Party was about. That's what the Panther Party was about. And so through miseducation, and again, the deliberate dumbing down of America, this is not something new. This is something that Hitler started back in the 40s, in the 30s. The propaganda machine of Hitler and the Nazis was brought to America after the war. Do your research. Do your research. And so what happens? Man, the government says, man, we can't beat them like this. They're united. The women are supporting these men. We got to divide them. We have to divide these women and the men. And so what happened? Man, you got Martin Luther King and Snicker and all these other groups. You got Jesse Jackson, the Rainbow Coalition, and you got all these groups. All these black positive groups trying to do something. And so they're all with Martin Luther King Jr. And they're causing turmoil. What do I mean? Because the people are united. The people are united. And so what happens? Man, we got to divide the people. We have to divide the people. That's always the government's agenda. That's always politicians' agenda. Divide the people. That's what they do. Malcolm X, the Nation of Islam. Now you got two opposing forces. And so what the government does is the government comes in and the government says, look, Martin Luther King is nonviolent. Martin Luther King is about this, and that. Malcolm's a danger. He's a public nuisance. He's a criminal. He's been to prison. He was on dope. He was uneducated. They come up with all this crazy shit, and it was real. Malcolm did go to prison. We're gonna get deep today. This is education. This is history. Understand. Malcolm saw his dad murdered. Malcolm's father was a preacher. And the Klan came and burnt a cross. Christians, white Christians, came and burnt a cross in their front yard. Well, we don't want to talk about this part of American history. Black people don't know our history. And so Malcolm sees these Christians burning a cross in his yard. His dad's a Christian. And these Christians are burning the cross, trying to intimidate him. His father gets murdered. Malcolm's mom is put in and out of institutions, mental institutions, because she loses it. Malcolm and his brothers and siblings, they're split up, and they're sent to different family members. So Malcolm has a lot of hatred. He has a lot of anger, a lot of pent-up animosity, as with most of us. And so Malcolm's uneducated. He don't know how to read. Malcolm gets caught up on the street life. The street life, excuse me. Malcolm is using drugs. Malcolm is out there chasing women. Malcolm gets busted for burglary or something to that effect and goes to the pen. It was in the penitentiary that Malcolm was taken in by some Nation of Islam people, some Muslims, and taught how to read. Malcolm, this uneducated dope addict, this convict, this guy with all these issues, gets out of the penitentiary, no higher education, and starts speaking and moving the people. And he becomes a threat. He becomes a threat to the government. He becomes a threat to the system. And so they gotta silence him. And so what does the government do? It's always putting two people against each other. I don't care what you look at. It's always divide and conquer. Biggie and Pac, East Coast, West Coast, it's always divide and conquer. And so what they do, they take the person that's the greatest threat and they demonize them. Always the person they can't control. The person that won't play by their games. The person that's the most articulate. The person that can cause the greatest damage to the system. He's the biggest threat. So let's shut him down. Let's demonize him. That's what they do. In our history, they start putting Malcolm against Martin. I don't dislike Malcolm. I don't dislike Martin. I commend Martin on all the things that he did. But understand, I'm not I'm not Martin. I relate more to Malcolm. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I resonate more with Malcolm because I had a tough life. I had a hard childhood. I didn't have parents like like Martin did. Martin's father was a preacher. His mama was there. He grew up in a nice family. He was able to go to school and go to college and get a doctorate degree. He was accepted in that capacity. Malcolm didn't grow up like that. Malcolm grew up on the streets. Malcolm was educated in a penitentiary. And so you got these two opposing forces. Martin's philosophy was nonviolence. He studied Gandhi and he was nonviolent. And I don't disagree with that. I think that has a time and place. I studied Martin Luther King in depth. I've studied Gandhi in depth. But I'm not Gandhi. I'm not Martin Luther King. I'm more of a Peter in the Bible. I'll cuss your ass the fuck out. I ain't got a problem of pulling out a sword and going to war. That was Malcolm's mentality. Malcolm was more of the Peter in the Bible. Jesus never condemned Peter for having a sword. Jesus never condemned Peter for pulling out his sword. Jesus never went off on Peter for cutting a soldier's ear off. Jesus saw some stuff in Peter that he reckoned, that he loved, that he cherished. He just told Peter, nah, what are you doing? I have to do this. I have to go this way. Get back to Malcolm and Martin. So during the 60s, there were church bombings down in the South where little black girls and black kids were killed in the church by Christians, by white Christians. White Christians attacked and had dogs sicked on women and girls and little kids and men, elderly men. There's footages where they took high pressure water hoses and blasted these women and these elderly men and these kids. I'm not of that mentality of singing Kumbaya. I'm not of that mentality of swinging Sweet Low, Chariot, or any of that crap. I'm not doing that. I'm not my ancestors in that regard. I'm more than Malcolm by any means necessary. I'm going to defend mine. Kind of like Peter. Try me if you want to. Are you woke? Are you really woke? The trip. This is not to demonize Martin Luther King. This is not to demonize Martin Luther King and what he was able to get done, but understand the agenda, understand the dynamics. Either you're gonna listen to Martin, we're gonna put Martin up and give him a Nobel Peace Prize and praise him publicly. Why? Because we're able to beat the fuck out of you when we want to. We're able to sick dogs on you when we want to. We're able to blow up your fucking churches when we want to. Or we're gonna have to deal with this motherfucker over here in this nation of Islam, and they got guns and they ain't got no problem using them motherfuckers. They've already told us by any means necessary. You attack one of ours, we're going to attack 3 of yours. And so, we just looking at history. We talking about history. I know we don't want to talk about this shit. We don't know this shit. We don't understand this shit because we've been dumbed down. Like the yin yang. You can't have good without the bad. The bad is just as important as the good. You can't have God without evil. And so, we look forward. Look at what they've done through these movies, through these shows. Bart Simpson, Homer Simpson, man, he's such a freaking he's so uneducated, you know what I mean? He's so sexist, just so, you know what I mean? He's so dumb. You look at Married with Children. Married with Children, he's such a sexist. He's not educated. And so you start looking at all these shows, and what are these shows doing? They're dumbing down the men. They're masculating the men. And what does it mean to masculate somebody? It means to take away their power. And I understand that, man, yeah, guys are doing way too much. Guys are way too disrespectful. I get that. Guys are dogging women out. I get that. I get that. I understand the history. I understand that men had women, man, burned at the stakes. I understand that men had women drowned. Why? And we claimed them as being witches because they were educated. Because they thought outside the box. Because they weren't intimidated by a man. And so we claimed them and labeled them as witches. So I understand the hatred that a lot of women begin to have for men. I understand the hatred because men was doing some bullshit. Cheating on their wives, and the women wasn't working, so they had to stay there and accept the bullshit. Because the man was bringing home the money. And they were completely dependent upon the men. And so what women started doing was teaching their daughters, get your own house, get your own place, get your own car, get your own job. Why? So you don't never have to be dependent on a man. Why? Because guys are stupid. Guys are brutal. Guys are arrogant. Guys are cruel. Guys are corrupt. They'll dog you out. And because you're dependent on them, you have to stay there and accept their bullshit. I understand that. Because that's what was happening. And so when you look at the women's movement was funded by the Rockefellers. Not because they gave a damn about women's rights. Man, you got to get your education, and you can't get your education by going to the people who's trying to dumb you down, who's trying to keep you uneducated. And so when you look at the Rockefellers and you look at what they were trying to do, the Rockefellers said, wait a minute. There are more women in America than there are men. If we tell the women to go get jobs, if we tell the women, and so you got to understand, why did we go to war? All the men were sent off to war. There's an agenda for this. There's always an agenda, and they're always 40 to 50 years ahead of where we're at. And so the agenda was send the men to war. Now that all the working men, the strong men are gone to war, we could tell the women, come out of the houses. Go to war. We need you to not go to war, excuse me. We need you to go to work. We need you to in these factories. Your men need you in these factories. Your country needs you in these factories. Why did they tell the women that? They told the women that. Why? Because they wanted to split up the families. That's always been the agenda. To break up the families. And so what they did, the Rockefellers, who didn't give a damn about women's rights, they told women, go work. Stop being dependent on men. Start claiming your women rights. Start burning your bras. Start demanding your independence. Why? Because that puts women and men at war with each other in the workplace. Stay with me, I'm going somewhere. Now, number two, the other thing that it does, now that we got these women at work, the number one agenda was to split up the families. The second agenda was now we got women working, we could tax the fuck out of them. Now with just men working, we can only tax men. But now that we got more people working, we could tax the fuck out of the women too. Now, the powers to be, they're taxing the hell out of men. They're taxing the hell out of the women. Who's raising the fucking kids? No one's raising the kids. That's where you get latchkey kids turned from. Why? Because they had keys around their necks. There were keys up under their doormats. And so the kids would come home and nobody was there. Because mom was at work, dad was at work, or dad was at war. And so now, women aren't dependent on men. They don't have to stay married to men. They can get their own place. So now, they're independent. Now, they're raising the kids without a father figure in the house. And so now, the kids are being programmed at school. Now, the kids, when they come home, the TV shows. Why the fuck do you think it's called television programming? Television programs, because they're fucking programming how you think. I told you it's a battle for your mind. It's always a battle for your mind. And so the shows that are on television is programming how you think. We don't get that. We don't understand that. We don't understand. We've been so fucking dumbed down. We're so fucking clueless, but we're so damn woke. We're so fucking enlightened. We're so fucking spiritual. We don't understand that the lady who started Planned Parenthood was a racist white lady who hated black people. This is not about black and white stuff. I'm just giving you facts. You can go look up yourself. This lady who started Planned Parenthood was a racist woman. And her agenda was to eliminate the blacks. Her agenda was to start giving black people abortions. Why? Because there's too many black people. She said this. Go do your homework. And so, but we as black people, we just take this shit in because they tell us it's a good thing. There's always a hidden agenda. There's always a hidden agenda. And so when you got mom out of the house, and you got mom working, you got dad working, nobody has time to come home and cook good food. Nobody has time to come home and work in the garden because mom's no longer at home to have a little garden in the backyard. Nobody's there to cook organic, good quality food. And so what happens, man, let's start introducing fast food. Let's start introducing this processed fucking meat. Let's start introducing all this toxic shit that's unhealthy. Let's start introducing microwavable food. So we gotta grow up. We gotta wake up. We've been so fucking dumbed down, it's so fucking ridiculous. We have to grow up. And so, mom is working and coming home and just throwing some shit together. Kids are eating nasty junk food at school. Coming home, eating processed shit. And so their diet is getting fucked up. They've been programmed from the TV of how they should think. So they're not really getting all of mom's and dad's values and ethics. Let's move forward a little bit. Now, Planned Parenthood, the fucked up Democratic Party. I'm not into politics. I told you guys, y'all know that from the gate. I've never been about politics. I've never been a fucking Democrat. I've never been a fucking Republican or any of that shit. When you wake the fuck up, you stop playing their fucking games. You should look at what the Democratic Party has done. The Democratic Party has fucked over the black communities. The Democratic Party has fucked over the Hispanic communities. But we too fucking clueless to understand that. So what they said. Oh, women, you guys got kids and you guys need a place to stay? We'll give you HUD housing. We'll give you a place to stay and we'll subsidize your income. We'll give you a place to stay and we'll pay part of your rent. We'll pay part of your electricity. We'll pay part of your water. We'll give you food. We'll give you money, but you can't have your husband there. You can't have a man there. Oh, it's all part of the fucking game and y'all too clueless to understand it. I'm gonna say it again. The Democratic Party has pushed this agenda. Oh, you want HUD housing? Oh, you want subsidized housing? Oh, we'll give it to you. We'll help you. We'll pay part of your rent. We'll pay part of your electricity. We'll give you all this money for food. But you can't be married. You can't have your man living there. Again, further dividing the men and the women. I know this is not what y'all want to hear. And we don't even understand it. We don't even have a fucking clue. And we go out and y'all vote for these people all the damn time. Not even understanding that they're playing on your fucking emotions. Not even understanding that they're destroying you. Not even understanding that they're taking advantage of you. They're taking advantage of your ignorance. Your willful ignorance. Because you won't take the time to do your own fucking investigation. Because you won't take the time to understand what's really going on. We got to get it together. We got to get it together. We got to wake the fuck up. We got to wake the fuck up. We don't even understand the agenda. And so now when we see a strong man, oh, he's too masculine, he's too macho, he's too this, he's too that, he's too manly. We got to neuter him. So we want all these passive fucking dudes walking around. We want all these weak ass fucking dudes walking around. You're right. I didn't see. I saw your name, but I didn't see it. As far as the left wing and the right wing, and I tell people this shit all the time. Look at some of my old videos. Man, the left wing and the right wing. Y'all too fucking clueless to understand it's on the same fucking bird. And it's not the wing that counts. It's the fucking head, the brain that dictates what the wings do. I got a left hand, a right hand. It's this up here that controls what my right hand and my left hand do. This up here. See, y'all so stuck on stupid, y'all don't even fucking understand that when you go vote for your president, you're not even voting for him. That motherfucker's already been selected. They don't even give a damn who you choose. Because regardless of who you choose, them motherfuckers gonna do the same thing anyways. Why? Because it's not about the left and the right. It's about the agenda. It's always the agenda, and the agenda is to keep us fucking divided. Why the fuck do y'all think that the Crips and the Bloods both wear red and blue? What I mean, the Bloods wear red, the Crips wear blue. When you look at the Norteños and the Serrano gangs, they both wear red and blue. The Norteños rock red and the Serranos rock blue. When you look at the fucking Democrats and Republicans, they both rock red and blue. The Democrats are blue and the Republicans are red. Grow the fuck up. Man, we got to get it together. We got to get it together. We so damn fucking clueless of what's going on. We so at war with each other. We so divided and fighting each other because I don't believe the bullshit you spewing. Because you don't know your fucking history. You don't know your fucking facts, but you convinced that you fucking woke. And because I don't agree with your stupid shit, now I'm your fucking enemy. When all I'm trying to do is fucking educate you, trying to help you. But you deem me as your damn enemy. Because you're so brainwashed and dumbed down, you too clueless to understand that you're part of the problem. They always tell us what they're gonna do. They always tell us what they're gonna do. They tell us in movies way ahead of time. We just don't fucking get it. We just too fucking clueless. We too fucking oblivious. They always tell us what they're gonna do. They always tell us what their agenda is. But y'all so damn woke. Y'all so damn enlightened. Y'all think y'all got this shit all figured out. I'm gonna show you something. This is how far advanced they are, and this is how they play the game. Cell phones came out in the 90s, like 95, 96 time frame. Cell phones. And most people are too clueless to even understand. Because check this out. When the first cell phones came out, man, they had those big bricks. Those big bricks. And you had to carry a battery pack with you. Then they went to those little candy bars, those big fat phones, flat phones like this. And they were heavy. Then they got a little narrower and thinner. Then they went to flip phones. Why am I laughing? Because in the fucking 60s, Captain Kirk on Star Trek had a fucking flip phone. In the 60s, 30-odd fucking years before cell phones came out, Captain Kirk had a flip phone Go back and look at Star Trek. How the fuck did in the 60s did Captain Kirk have a flip phone, and flip phones weren't even the first cell phones to come out? How the fuck did he have this flip phone? Beam me up, Scotty. How the hell did he have a flip phone in the 1960s? But they didn't even give us flip phones first. Y'all better wake the fuck up. Y'all better wake the fuck up. Man, we don't even understand what the hell's going on. Because we're so distracted with all the bullshit. We're so distracted with all of our favorite television shows. We're so distracted with sports. We're so divided with politics. We're so divided with our religious beliefs and our religious dogma. And yet, we're convinced that we're woke. Yet, we're convinced that we're enlightened. Yet, we're convinced that we're super spiritual. And that we're so much smarter than everybody else. We're so connected to God and Source. You so damn woke that you can't even understand that you still fucking sleep. You so damn woke and so damn spiritual, you can't even understand you still in a fucking coma. Why? Because your ego. Your ego has you convinced you're woke. Your ego has you convinced you're smarter than what you really are. Your ego has you convinced that you're more spiritual than what you really are. There's a saying that we used to say. You drunk the Kool-Aid. You drunk the Kool-Aid. And you don't even fucking know that you've been drinking the Kool-Aid. And where does that saying come from? That saying came from because there was a guy named Jim Jones that had these people so fucking brainwashed and so fucked up in their head that he put poison in some fucking Kool-Aid and passed it around to everybody, and everybody drank it and died. But he was a fucking Christian. He was a man of God. That's how the story goes. That's the narrative that they give us. That these people willingly drank the Kool-Aid and died. And y'all get on TV and y'all turn on CNN, y'all turn on Fox, and y'all turn on MSNBC and all this other propaganda shit. Y'all get on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all this other shit. And you get your news from the same people that are dumbing you the fuck down. You get your same news from the same people that's fucking poisoning you. It's deeper than that. You look at the food that they give you. When you look at the poison that they give you. How the fuck is it that in the poor communities, there's more churches and more liquor stores than any goddamn thing else? Let me say it again. In the poor neighborhoods, I don't give a damn what community you go to, there are more liquor stores and churches than any other business. Because they're both serving you the same fucking poison. They're both poisoning you and you don't even fucking understand it. They're both destroying the community and you don't even fucking understand it. You too clueless to get it. Every corner in the black communities is a goddamn church. And yet the crime and the craziness in the hood has gotten so much worse. I normally don't talk about this stuff. I normally stay away from all this stuff. Just because I don't talk about it don't mean that I don't know about it. We have to grow up. We have to grow up. You have to open your eyes to what the fuck is going on. You have to understand that you've been manipulated. They said something a while back. I can't remember who it was. I want to say Sidney Berninsky or somebody like that. He said, it's easier today to control 1 million people than it is to kill 1 million people. Back in the day, it was easier to kill 1 million people than it was to control 1 million people. But today, he said, it's easier to control 1 million people than it is to kill 1 million people. What is he saying? What's transpired? What's changed? What's changed is fucking social media. What's changed is fucking 24/7 news. What's changed is the nonstop bombardment of all the fucking programming that you've been getting. And yet we're woke. Yet we understand the game. We understand the game. When you think about the fact that in the late 90s, right before Obama became president, or excuse me, right before, Obama became president, there was a housing crisis. There was a housing crisis. All these businesses were going under. All these mega businesses were going under. Stay with me. I'm about to drop something on you. And what did the government do? What did George Bush do? The banks are collapsing, supposedly. The dollar's useless. The dollar's been useless since since 73, when they took it off the gold standard. And what do I mean by that? Show you how fucking corrupt our government is. Our government was backed, the dollar was backed by gold. What does that mean? You could take dollar bills into the bank and exchange it for gold. The dollar bill was based on how much gold we had. The worth of the dollar was based on how much gold we had in inventory. Stay with me. This is how corrupt our government is. And so what they do, they said, hey, we need to collect the gold from the people. And so they passed a law in the United States of America that made it a felony for you to have gold. Do your homework, do your research. The United States government, the president of the United States and Congress passed a law that said that it was illegal, it was a felony, and that if you got caught with gold, you could go to prison for up to 5 years, and I believe it was a $100,000 fine. And so what did the people do? The dumbass people do. The dumbed down people, what did they do? They start taking the gold into the banks and exchanging the gold for fucking dollar bills, Federal Reserve notes. And what the government do? They didn't have enough gold. They didn't get enough gold, they felt, from the people. So they made the punishment worse. And the dumbed down Americans was taking in all their gold, what was real money, and exchanging it for some fucking paper. And then when the government, I want to say that they sold they exchanged the gold, I want to say for like $20-something an ounce. So you take an ounce of gold in, I want to say it was like $20-something at that time. That's what they would give you for an ounce of gold. And then the government, after they collected all this gold, they got rid of that law that made it a felony for you to own gold. And so what they do, they started selling gold to the people again. The people just gave them the gold and got $20-something for an ounce. Now the gold was worth $40, $50-something an ounce. That same fucking ounce. Now it was almost double the price. The government fucking raped the people. They stole from the people. And we too fucking clueless to understand that. And so in 73, they took us off the gold standard. Our money wasn't backed by gold anymore. So we could just print all the money we want. It's useless now. It's only worth something because we believe it's worth something. And because we could go into the store and buy some shit. We have to wake up. There's always an agenda. There's always a hidden game plan. And so anytime the government tells you something, you better believe 9 times out of 10, you might want to consider the opposite to be true. People say, why are you so pessimistic? Why are you so negative in regards to our government? I love America. I don't trust our fucking government. Our government has never looked out for Americans. Never. I'm part Native American. My ancestors, on my dad's side, my grandmother was Cherokee Indian. On my mom's side, they were Blackfeet. They all came from Oklahoma area. I remember through history, the Trail of Tears. I remember through history all the treaties that the government signed with the Native Americans, and they broke every fucking treaty that they signed with the Native Americans. Every fucking treaty was broken by the government of the United States of America. The Trail of Tears, where they gave all these Native Americans tainted food and blankets that had diseases in them. Why? To kill off the Native Americans. And so they put them on fucking concentration camps and they called them reservations. I know my history. I do my own fucking research. You look at what the government has done to Americans. Go back and look at the Tuskegee experiment, where the government of the United States of America gave thousands of black men syphilis and didn't tell them. This is our government. Gave thousands of black men syphilis and released them out into the streets and told them nothing was wrong. Everything was good. And so these men unknowingly took that out into the communities. It's not a black and white thing. It's not. Look at Vietnam. Agent Orange, where they were dropping, Americans were dropping bombs. This Agent Orange, this chemical weapon on the soldiers that went to fight for America. American soldiers came back sick. Their kids were born with illnesses and deformities. Their wives got sick and got all these ailments. And the government denied it for years. For years, the government denied this. These are the veterans of America, the people that put their lives on the line. Why? To go fight for our flag, to go fight for our freedom, to go fight for our country, and the country poisoned them. The country didn't give a damn about them and denied them medical care for their ailments. I'm not even gonna get into the AIDS thing. Look it up. Look up how pharmaceutical companies got busted in America for some of their medication having the AIDS virus in it. And they was told to shut it down. And they were allowed to take that stuff, that medication, to countries overseas. Look it up. Look it up. And so when the government tells me that I need to do a certain thing, nah, I'm cool. I'm cool. I don't trust you. You never in history given me a reason to trust you. You never given me a reason in history to take you at your word, to take you at face value. But we so woke. We so enlightened. Understand the Jezebel spirit. To emasculate the strong men. To feminize the strong men. At what point do we wake up? At what point do we start doing our own research? At what point do we start taking everybody at face value? At what point do we stop playing their game? At what point do we... Nah, I'm going to start thinking for myself. I'm cool. I hear what you're saying. I'm cool. You know what I mean? I'll pass. I'll pass. To the point now, anytime the government wants you to do something, they always put your own people on the street. They always put your people on the TV to get you to do it. They always put your celebrities and your entertainers out there as the spokesperson. To make you believe that it's okay. To make you believe that this is what you need to do. For years, people say, "Oh, that's just conspiracy theory. That's conspiracy theory, and you tripping, and you use tinfoil hat, and that all this stupid shit, right? That's just uneducated people refusing to accept responsibility for their own fucking education." For years, the government has denied UFOs. And anybody that believed in UFOs was deemed crazy, was deemed tripping. But all of a sudden now, oh yeah, the government admits that they're UFOs. The government admits that they're UFOs. Well, what the fuck happened? UFOs didn't just come out recently. UFOs have always been here, but you motherfuckers lied about it for years and convinced everybody that didn't believe that they were crazy. I'll tell you where the term conspiracy theorist came from. Again, that's a CIA op. That's a CIA term. What do I mean? Everybody in their right fucking mind know that JFK was not shot by Lee Harvey Oswald, and that one bullet went through 7 different people and caused all this fucking shit. It ricocheted, spun around, came back and hit somebody else, ricocheted, spun back around and did all this crazy shit. One bullet did all this shit. So, anybody knows. Anybody with their mind open. Anybody understanding physics. Anybody understanding The truth knows that there were more than one shooter. There was more than one shooter. And so, but anybody not believing that? Anybody said, no, Lee Harvey Oswald was the lone assassin and his gun, his bullet did all this damage. His bullet, his gun did all of this damage to all these people. And the CIA came up with a term that anybody that didn't believe that was a conspiracy theorist. That's where the term conspiracy theorist came from. It came from the government. Why? Because they were brainwashing you and they were manipulating you, and anybody not playing the game was silenced. Anybody speaking out was deemed a casualty. And what I mean casualty, man, they just somehow died. They just somehow came up missing. They were demonized. We have no clue of what our government has done. We have no clue of the games that's being played. We have no clue of what we did with Hitler and all his key personnel after the war. We have no clue how we brought all of them people, his propaganda machine, to the United States of America, and we put them in charge of the CIA, and we put them in charge of all these other agencies, and we put them in the colleges and over the education systems. How is it that prior to World War II, United States and China was friends? Prior to World War II, United States and China was friends. United States and Japan was enemies. Prior to World War II, Japan was in China wearing the hell out of the Chinese, destroying everything. We don't know our fucking history. Right after war, because America always had to have an enemy. There's always got to be an enemy. Always. And so, right after the war, Japan and the United States. Japan, who just bombed Pearl Harbor. United States, the only country in the history to drop a nuclear bomb on a country. We dropped 2 of them on Japan. So right after the war, United States and Japan become allies. China becomes our enemy. Before the war, United States and Russia are working together. After the war, United States and Russia goes into this Cold War. They're enemies. Why? Because our government has always got to have an enemy. How the hell is it that Prince is on video saying way before 9/11, years before 9/11? Look it up. Prince is on video saying, man, I gotta go back to America. Osama bin Laden getting ready to bomb. Prince is saying Osama bin Laden's getting ready to bomb. Before anybody heard of Osama bin Laden, before there was Al-Qaeda, this is what Prince is saying. How the hell is it that Timothy McVeigh, the guy who supposedly blew up the Oklahoma Trade Center, how the hell is it that that whole section of the FBI building in Oklahoma that Timothy McVeigh supposedly blew up, how the hell is it coincidental that that whole section had all the paperwork from the FBI transactions and all the stuff that the FBI did in Waco, Texas, where they went in and killed all them people, where they went in and massacred all them people, all them Americans. But all that paperwork was at that building and was destroyed when that bomb went off. How is it that the day before 9/11, Donald Rumsfeld, the director, the guy that was in charge of the military, how is it that on September 10th, he has a television, he gets on TV, and he has a news thing, and he tells the American people that somehow, the Pentagon, the military lost trillions of dollars. I'm gonna say it again. Donald Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense, is in charge of the military, gets on national TV on September 10th and says that the Pentagon, the military, has lost trillions of dollars. We just can't find it. It just disappeared. We don't know where it went. He said that on September 10th, the day before 9/11. Somehow on 9/11, when that missile hit the Pentagon, and the side of the Pentagon that was hit by the missile, it wasn't a fucking plane like y'all dumbasses believe, because that's what the government told you. It was a missile. And that wing of the Pentagon had been vacant for months. That whole wing that was destroyed was completely empty, but they told y'all that's where all the paperwork was at. How the hell is it that we could watch TV and we could see plane crashes and you could see wings and you could see engines and all this other shit from all these other plane crashes, but yet for some fucking reason when we look at the Pentagon destruction and we say that a plane hit the Pentagon, yet there was no fucking plane damage, there was no fucking wing anywhere, there's no fucking engines anywhere, but every other fucking plane crash, there's a fucking wing, there's some engines, there's some fucking cars, plane seats. Man, there's so much. There's so much. Man. But y'all woke. Y'all woke. Y'all know what the hell's going on. Y'all drinking the Kool-Aid. And all these woke people demonize people like myself who's trying to spread the truth. And it's crazy because woke motherfuckers always attacking people who's spreading the truth. Isn't it interesting? It was always the religious people who attacked Jesus. It was always the Pharisees and the Sadducees who attacked Jesus. Now we got all these fucking woke people attacking people spreading the truth. Ain't shit changed. Ain't shit changed. My hope and prayer is that, man, we start doing our own homework. We start doing our own research. That we stop playing the game. That we stop being divided. That we stop allowing them to demonize each other. That we stop allowing them to cause division. To cause hatred between men and women. To cause hatred between the races. To cause hatred between the different political parties. I love you guys. Man, I love you guys. I know I'm gonna lose a lot of people on this one. You know what I mean? It is what it is. It comes with the territory. It comes with the territory. I've heard it for years. You know what I mean? I've heard it for years. I've been attacked for years because I've tried to wake the people up, because I've tried to educate the people, because I've tried to give the people the truth, and they didn't want to accept it because they were so brainwashed. It is what it is. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I love you guys. Happy healing. Peace.